Stay frosty and head over to EasyMut.com for the cheapest MUT coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 40 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Yo, what up, brothers? What's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans, been a minute since we had a regular video. Lots and lots of live streams. I wanted to be available for you guys as the Chargers started stacking the roster with free agents. And you know what? It's been a busy week, man. A lot of Chargers fans still hoping for more signings, which I absolutely 100% think is coming. But today, the newest member of the Bolts, Ode Abushi, signed a one-year deal worth $2 million. I think it's actually $1.75 million, which is a great deal for the Chargers. But we're not just here to talk about him. We are talking about the Chargers moves as a whole. Today, we're going to be grading every single Chargers offseason signing and seeing how we did, man. Also leaving room for maybe some more free agents that we have our eye on upcoming here, probably in the next couple of days. Guys, there's some big names still out there, but the Chargers really good pace right now, especially as far as fixing our offensive line. So we're going to go through all the signings of the Chargers so far, give them a letter grade, give you guys a reason to like or maybe be cautious of some of the free agents the Chargers have brought in. Before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. Grading the Chargers off-season signings so far. You guys already know. If you guys watch my live streams, you'll know what my thoughts are on a lot of these guys. But we're going to start from the very top, the Chargers' first signing in Corey Linsley. Corey Linsley is now the highest paid center in the league for a reason, signing a contract with the Chargers, a 5-year, $62.5 million contract, including $13 million in signing bonuses. You guys don't need to know all that stuff. But basically, the Chargers got themselves the best center in football for an average around $12.5 million a season. It's really good this season as far as cap in 2021. Now, this to me, if you guys watch my videos, I did a whole video on Corey Linsley on why he needs to be the #1 priority for the Chargers. I was screaming. I was skipping around the house when we finally got Corey Linsley. This is the moment. This is the position that you want to start in building this offensive line. Corey Linsley offers so much to the Chargers in 2021 in terms of communication, which he's already stated in an interview. That's going to get an overhaul. The quality that he brings as far as a player, again, grading is like, I would say, what was it, like top 4 in running and pass protection? It's absolutely insane what Corey Linsley is going to bring to the table. It's an amazing spot to rebuild the offensive line. The Chargers have already made several moves and really leaves us a lot of space in the draft to continue to improve. Guys, I can't even tell you. The stark contrast between last season and this season with the offensive line is ridiculous. So Corey Linsley, an instant upgrade for the Chargers. We had the league's worst center in Dan Feeney last season, and we just flipped the script to the best center in football this season. This is going to get a letter grade of an A+ for me. Some people may say we overpaid a little bit. No, man. The Chargers had money to spend. Honestly, we were thinking about spending what? I think he was estimated between like $10 and $11 million. We got him for $12.5 million annually. So this is a great signing for the Bolts and a great sign of things to come for the Chargers and this offensive line going forward. Next up, the next guy we decided to sign this offseason is going to be Matt Filer. Now, guys, it's a great sign when I go on Twitter and I see a bunch of Steelers fans saying, oh, man, we're so bummed we couldn't keep him. The guy's so good. He's going to do great things for you guys out there in Los Angeles. And honestly, probably an under-the-radar guy for a lot of Chargers fans. I didn't spend a lot of time researching him, but really when you look at his analytics, he was exceptional in his time with Pittsburgh. He signed a 3-year, $21 million contract with the Chargers, so a great budget signing, but honestly, he's going to be a starter for us. I think the Chargers have already stated that he's going to be a left guard for us. He played tackle and guard for Pittsburgh. If I remember correctly, he graded out better as a guard. Great signing by the Chargers. Again, a step in the right direction to not only protecting Justin Herbert, but giving Austin Eckler some freaking lanes to run through. And Matt Filer, man, on a budget, I think this is one of the more like low-key, underrated signings of the season by the entire NFL. I think a lot of teams had their eye on Matt Filer. I really think that the Chargers got a good deal on him. He's going to bring a lot of potential to the Chargers offensive line at the left guard position, which basically means to me that Forrest Lamp is probably on his way out. The last I heard about Forrest Lamp is that he was going to the Vikings, I think, but nothing confirmed yet. So Matt Filer, man, great signing by the Chargers. I'm going to give this a letter grade of a B+. The last thing, I almost forgot to tell you guys, he's very versatile. We already said that he could play tackle, he could play either side of the guard position. This is great Brian Bulaga insurance as well. If something happens to Brian Bulaga, given his history, we can count on Matt Filer to step in and keep that right tackle position held down. So a solid B+ for me. The only reason he's not an A+ is because I feel like at guard specifically, we could go after some different names, but I really like the value that we're getting out of Matt Filer. So a solid B+ for me. Next up, we got Michael Davis. Of course, this is one that Chargers fans were really antsy about, hoping that he stays with the Chargers. The morning that he got signed, there were rumors that other teams were willing to pay him in the range of $10+ million, and that he might not be coming back to the Bolts. I was I was on pins and needles, man. I was very worried that the Chargers wouldn't be able to afford him. Alas, though, the Chargers were able to snag him on a 3-year, $25.2 million contract. Honestly, guys, in stark contrast of what other teams were probably offering him, which I think it's come out that he did get better offers, this is a great budget signing for the Chargers. Michael Davis ultimately wanting to stay in Los Angeles. The Chargers kind of caught a break with this one, and it's so important that Michael Davis stay on the team because all signs kind of point towards him having a breakout season. He's been slowly improving every single year, and with Brandon Staley, you can fully expect another step forward in the 2021 year. Amazingly cheap contrast. He's long and fast. The Staley recipe for success, in my opinion. This was a must add, or I should say a must maintain player for the Chargers in 2021. He's going to add a lot of value. I would say probably one of the most valuable cornerbacks per dollar as far as value in the NFL right now. And in a great scheme fit with a great coach. I'm very excited to see what he does this season. So I'm going to give this a letter grade of an A. I think this was an absolute must move for the Chargers. They pulled it off, and honestly at a really good price as well. Next up, we've got, who is this? Michael Badgley. Michael Badgley signed a 1-year contract. I think the number is still unknown as far as what his contract is worth. But it's important to note here that Michael Badgley did cost us some games. All right, you guys remember quite a few of them. If we hit 1 or 2 more field goals, maybe the Chargers are like 10-6 instead of 7-9. You never know. But the big thing I want Chargers fans to remember is that we did bring in competition for Michael Badgley this season. We brought in a guy named Vizcaino, I think his name is. So the Chargers are aware that something needs to happen on special teams with our kicker. Maybe he sees an improvement, with better blocking, better circumstances and coaching and for special teams, as a whole. But I can only really give this re-signing a letter grade of a C+, I think. Just because, again, he did struggle. It's a 1-year deal. It's probably going to be very cheap. But the Chargers probably need to find an answer at kicker. Hopefully, Badgley does have a bounce-back year. But it's really tough for the league to find good kickers, consistent kickers. And bringing in competition, in my mind, is probably one of the best things that they could have done in the circumstances of Michael Badgley. Next up, this one was controversial. I remember going live. You guys were going crazy. And honestly, my first initial reaction wasn't what I thought it would be. The Chargers signed Jared Cook to a 1-year deal worth $6 million. The guarantee is only $4.5 million. So great move by the Chargers at a budget standpoint. And I know it was really difficult for a lot of Chargers fans to embrace this move. We had just lost Hunter Henry to the Patriots. And honestly, Henry brings a lot to the table as far as a blocker. Jared Cook is probably average at best when it comes to run blocking in any scheme. The big thing I love about this move, though, he's coming from a scheme that we're likely going to be adopting this season from the Saints' balanced offense. Of course, our offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, knows him, as well as I think he's a running game coordinator now in Frank Smith from his days with the Raiders as well. So Jared Cook, a little bit old in the tooth. But honestly, guys, like I mentioned, my first initial reaction when I saw that we were signing Jared Cook was, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like the dollar value of what we're getting out of Jared Cook is much more valuable than what we maybe would have gotten out of Hunter Henry. Right? Hunter Henry signed a monster deal, man. I don't think that would have fit the Chargers' needs as far as, you know, spending cap in other positions of need. I almost see this as moving cap space away from the tight end position and putting it into the offensive line, which, honestly, guys, Jared Cook, he's going to be great with the Chargers. I mean, maybe not like, you know, a top 10 tight end or anything like that, but he's going to be serviceable. A very, very, you know, present red zone threat, which is something that the Chargers very much so struggle. And honestly, guys, he's got better touchdown percentage, especially in the red zone, than Hunter Henry did. The one thing that Hunter Henry has on him, other than the age factor, is the blocking. And honestly, the Chargers can probably find a cheap option as far as a tight end that's probably better in the run game to maybe put into those specific plays that we need that. So I really like Jared Cook, man. It kind of surprised me how much I liked this signing. Amazing red zone target. I think he really fills a need where the Chargers had one, and really, really helps us in the cap space situation to continue to build in other positions that were bigger positions of need. So Jared Cook, I'm going to give this a letter grade of a B. The only reason it's a B and not an A or an A minus is because I do think other options like trading for Njoku would have been really good for the Chargers. Maybe somebody younger with a longer, maybe higher potential, higher ceiling. But what you're getting out of Jared Cook, solid value. And I'm very, very excited to see what he can do with the Chargers next season. And lastly, guys, probably one a lot of people are wondering about right now is going to be Oday Aboushi. Brand new tackle coming in, or I should say offensive lineman coming in for the Chargers from the Detroit Lions. Now, I will say this, guys. I didn't really know who Oday Aboushi was. Okay, I was like, cool. Is this like a backup or something? And then you got taking a look at his stats. Actually, let me go over to my Twitter right here. I'm going to show you guys that there again in a second. I'm going to show you guys something kind of shocking, okay? This is Trey Turner's PFF grades, if it will load, from last season. It's given a second here. Okay, so 34.8 overall grade with a 51.3 in pass and 29.8 in the run. In comparison, Oday Aboushi, man, I mean, the Devils number right here, the Devils hand, 66.6. As far as an offensive grade is great. That's a huge upgrade. Pass block upgrade of 65.3, run block upgrade of 68.0. Now, of course, you take a look down here. Maybe he was average at best, you know, in the years prior, but maybe this was his breakout season. He's 30 years old, so he's a little bit older. But honestly, I think as far, again, we're talking about Coupon Tom Telesco. As far as value, we moved away from the $11.5 million contract to Trey Turner and moved to a guy that cost us $1.75 million, who's graded out like twice as good as Trey Turner. Trey Turner, to me, had a really, really terrible season last year, so you can't even say twice as good. This guy, last season, proved that he could compete for the starting job. At first, I thought this was just going to be a budget signing, a backup, you know, depth for the Chargers, and then I got looking at his stats, man, and this is actually kind of insane. The Chargers may have found an answer at left guard, which is what we project him to play, right guard for the Chargers, on the cheap, and we saved so much money in the process of doing so. So to me, guys, Oday, this is a great move for the Bolts. If anything, I still think we're going to bring in competition for him at the right guard position. I think he definitely has a shot at starting. But worst case scenario, we have a fringe starter as a backup that can play very many different positions on the offensive line. The versatility that we're getting out of Oday Aboushi and Matt Filer is great. Again, Brian Bulaga insurance. Interior offensive line insurance. If something happens, we've got quality depth to step in to those positions and hold down the fort. I'm very, very excited. So for that, I'm going to give Oday Aboushi a letter grade of a B+. I think this is a solid ad for the Chargers. Again, I saw it as depth because of how cheap the contract was, but honestly, he could be a fringe starter for the Chargers on a 1-year contract. But I give you guys the 1 year. Yeah, so it's a 1-year deal. I can honestly see this being a circumstance where the Chargers really like what they see out of him and maybe extend him next season. So this is going to give the Chargers an overall grade of a B+ as far as their offseason signings so far. Honestly, very, very good. And it's very, very good because of the fact that Chargers absolutely 100% prioritize the offensive line. We were asking about it. We've been demanding it as Chargers fans for a long time. And now the Chargers are finally making some quality moves to fix the offensive line. This O-line, guys, is going to look drastically different than what it did from last season. Okay, we got one guy in there that's probably going to remain from last year's season in Brian Bulaga. Everybody else is fresh and new. Everybody else is graded dramatically higher than the guys that we had last season. This is a great move, man. The Chargers protecting Justin Herbert, providing lanes for Austin Eckler. These moves alone, guys, could help elevate the Chargers offense into playoff form. I'm not even kidding. These are huge. These are massive. So an overall grade of a B+. I really like it. Other signings that I failed to mention here, maybe lower tier signings. Ty Long coming back to the Chargers. Tyree St. Louis coming back as well. And then Brandon Faison coming back as well. All on cheap contract depth guys. This leaves the Chargers remaining cap over the cap right now at $27.9 million. I don't think they factored in a couple of players yet, so that probably is going to go down a little bit. And then you have to take into account the $10 million or so for the rookies this season, as well as our practice squad guys. So I'm going to guess that the Chargers have somewhere around $16 million to actually spend. You know, the number it's going to show on sites like this is probably going to be around 26, but when you factor in the $10 million and stuff, probably around 16. So the last thing I'm going to say before we dip out of this video is that the Chargers still, guys, have a lot of players that they could target. And I'm sure everybody's eyes as far as Chargers fans go straight to number 2 right here on this list, and Kyle Fuller. Okay, I showed you guys, I flashed this a little bit ago on the video. I photoshopped this in literally like 25 minutes, so I'm sorry. I see all the imperfections, guys. I noticed it, but I wanted to make sure we got a visual aid out there to help support Chargers fans in rallying behind the idea of Kyle Fuller to the Chargers. Okay? The Bears, in kind of like an out of left field move, came out and said, we're going to cut Kyle Fuller. And when I saw this, I was like, holy cow. Holy cow. I don't think there's a cornerback in the entire free agency that fit the Chargers scheme better than Kyle Fuller. Of course, having connections to a couple of our coaches in Jay Rodgers from the Bears, as well as Brandon Staley, who coached him with the Bears. I think he was a linebackers coach at the time. This all falls under the Vic Fangio tree, okay? When it came out that Kyle Fuller was on the table, every sports writer came out and said that Fuller's likely going to go to the Chargers or the Broncos because they both fit that defensive scheme of Vic Fangio. Man, dudes, like literally outside of Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Fuller's probably, as far as a scheme fit, a #1 cornerback. It's Kyle Fuller. And the Chargers still have money to burn. Because he's being cut or traded or whatever, the Bears are going to soak up a lot of that cap. It's estimated right now that his contract's going to be somewhere between $8 and $10 million annually. Oh, he's only 29 years old. Oh my God, dude. Chargers, if I have one more guy I want you to sign, it's going to be this guy. Kyle Fuller needs to come to the Chargers. I'm 100% on board for this. I think, again, if you're thinking in terms of wanting to draft a cornerback early in this season's draft, still go after Asante Samuel in the 2nd round or something like that, because Chris Harris Jr.'s contract expires next season. So you're going to need another guy anyway next year. You can give Asante Samuel maybe like a bunch of reps this season, but you don't have to count on him right away. Let him develop. Meanwhile, you got guys like Kyle Fuller in there. You got guys Michael Davis, Chris Harris Jr., and the Chargers are likely going to be using a lot of defensive backs in their scheme this season. So I'm sure Asante Samuel would see a lot of reps too if we decide to pick him up. Dudes, this is the last big signing I hope the Chargers go after. Just such a perfect scheme fit, relationships with coaches on the team, and honestly still one of the best cornerbacks in the league, only 29 years old. Do it. It could be a 2 or 3 year deal. It would fit perfectly on the Chargers books. We've got money to spend. I want Kyle Fuller on this team. So guys, in the comments section, last thing, let me know what your guys' letter grade is for any of these guys individually or as a whole. How do you think the Chargers are doing this offseason in addressing positions of need? We still have things like edge, cornerback, maybe more offensive line help. All of the offensive line looks really good right now. It just feels like the Chargers really put a priority on the offensive line. And if anything, take a step back, really realize how different this offensive line looks, and take a sigh of relief. Whew. Justin Herbert's going to have time to throw in the pocket. Austin Eckler's going to have lanes to run through. We're protecting our franchise quarterback of the future. These are all things to celebrate. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.